Can you explain to me what's going on with Dustin Martin? I cannot understand his absence, his return today. Where are we?
So he's been injured. He was granted personal leave at the start of last week to go to New Zealand for a couple of days to visit friends and family. Now, he's obviously getting on a flight, not exactly a long-haul flight, 4 hours to New Zealand, particularly when you're flying up the front. So I'm not sure that there was any concern about his back injury flaring up on that flight. You know, Tom Morris reported on SEN with you this morning, Kane, that he then played golf on the Wednesday. Richmond, I spoke to at length tonight, had no idea about the game of golf. They didn't confirm or deny whether it took place. He trained lightly today. Richmond's public position is there's nothing to see here. We still hope and expect him to play this week and for the remainder of his contract. I can tell you tonight that there is frustration building internally with how the last few weeks has played with Dustin Martin. Richmond would love for him to play at least one more time and have a farewell game, but it's my belief, speaking to people close to Dustin Martin, speaking to multiple people at Richmond today, speaking to people at the Gold Coast Suns today, that he won't play at Punt Road beyond this season. Now, things can change. We know that. But I think...
What do you mean by one more game? Like, he's at training today. Surely that's a sign that he intends to play.
Yeah, clearly with his lack of training and lack of coming to the club in recent weeks, there is a belief at Richmond, whether they publicly admit it or not, that he has, to some degree, checked out of that part of his career.
What a circus then it's been, Hutchie. So they're 2 wins and however many losses, 16 losses, that they pretty much say, Dusty, I don't know if they need another game because he's already had such an amazing farewell against Hawthorn. What a time that would have been to end when he waved to everybody and said goodbye. He's played one more since that, hasn't he? When he got subbed out at half time.
Against Carlton, yep.
So, yeah.
But is it physical or is it emotional?
I think it's everything encompassing. I think he's had a really challenging few years personally. We know it's happened with some really awful issues that he's been faced with away from football. You then throw in the injury. Look,
have they been too respectful of him?
Yes.
Do you think they've tiptoed around him?
Yeah, 100% they have, Hutchie. And I think
hard for a first-year coach, I think.
Yeah, but it's not just an Adam Uze decision. There's a lot of people supporting Adam Uze that should be able to
Tim
say
Livingston, Blair Hartley, Brendan Gale.
This is what we expect if you want to be a Richmond footballer. Now, this is the support around him. We know Brendan Gale's leaving. There's the assistant coaches. So often we do this and we ask the question for a struggling team, is the coach supportive enough? Really difficult to tell when you're not there and you don't know what those assistants are bringing, but you can make your own judgment on that. But for Adam Uze, he's got to stand for something. At the moment,
what does that look like, though,
He doesn't get up into the coach's box. You've been given that job because you're supposed to be strategic. That's one of your biggest attributes. All I see is on the interchange bench, cheering. All I see is after the game, when you lose by such a big margin, Richmond fans be proud of our effort. I can't fault the effort.
Don't you think he's clinging on to positivity, given all the injuries?
Yeah, but as if that's going to last. If this continues, he will be so quickly out the door before he even gets a chance to imprint the way that he wants to play. So he's got to demand more of Martin. He's got to demand more of the group. You can't lose by 100 points and then sit there and go, I can't fault the effort. So he's got to be more demanding of this group. I've called him a cheerleader. He needs to be a coach and not a cheerleader. Otherwise, this is going to end really quickly. And the Dustin Martin circus, as challenging as it is for him to bring a champion back in the line, has been let to run freely and do what he wants. And it's honestly, it's been embarrassing.
I'd get Ralph Carr in tomorrow and say, and keep Uze out of it. It's Tim Livingston, the head of footy, and just say, we want to give him one more game. Which one is it? And as soon as possible so we can move on, in my opinion.
The way you watch this, Lordo, and I said I think he's a shocking option for Gold Coast. I mean, you may disagree and others disagree, but the more I see this play out, can you imagine Dustin Martin doing this on the Gold Coast for a young group that needs leadership and needs standards? Yep. Are you still in with Dustin on the Gold Coast after watching this?
No.
Yeah.
Why haven't they called on him? Like, what has he possibly shown them this year?
He's arguably the greatest forward 50 player ever to play the game.
Not anymore.
Well, he's been dealing with a fair bit. Change of scenery from Punt Road to the Gold Coast. He reunites with Damien Hardwick. They get him for nothing. They pay him.
You don't believe that, Hart. This is you barracking for your story.
It
is. You've been belting the desk of this for 3 years. You don't generally believe that he'll add value to the Suns at this point.
So, first of all, that's just a ridiculous thing to say, that I'm barracking for the story. And second of all, I've consistently maintained that I think he'd be a perfect fit in the Gold Coast Suns. Nothing has changed my mind.
Do you think he's shown, and I know the circumstances and we have some empathy for his...
But it's not a retirement.
He's never shown any leadership of... No. That's the only reason they would take him on is if he could have a demonstrative impact on others, right?
I think his on-field leadership that he could provide for the likes of of Ben King, of Noah Anderson, of Matt Rao would be astronomical.
The 2019 version, absolutely. Not the 2024 version.
But I think he's worth the risk when you're not giving up anything for him. If you could say, hey,
you
there's
give up a playing spot, an impact on culture.
But if he is willing, though, to pound the pavements again, I think it's worth...
Big
looking.
if, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Just quickly before the break, Ken Hinkley emerged as a name linked to West Coast today. What do you make of that?
Made some calls both to South Australia and Western Australia today. I'm not absolutely sure that there is a hit list yet, and if there is, he would be at the top of it. They're definitely interested in speaking to people with coaching experience. I'm not sure, Hutchie, that they absolutely want to go down the road of finding the next young guy, given that there is an internal belief that the next 5 years is going to be pretty difficult. So for someone Ken's experience would definitely be attractive. He's contracted to Port Adelaide next year, of course.